and welcome back to my channel, rawreallove. Today's video is going to be a life update video, and I wanted to do this sooner with everything that's been going on, which I'm going to explain soon. It just has taken me some time, and I also wanted to get this video out there before I get back to creating other content for my channel. I know it's been a while since I sat down and talked with all of you, and so in today's video I'm just going to update you on everything that has been going on with me in the last month and a half. If you follow me on Instagram at rawreallove, you probably kind of already know what's been going on and have seen some of the things that I shared, but today's video I'm just going to lay it all out and explain everything. No one's confused and everyone knows where I stand from here on out. Alright, so I've been on YouTube since 2017, and if you followed me here on YouTube or on my Instagram at rawreallove, you would know that I lived and promoted a vegan lifestyle 100%. Me and my family, everything. Full-blown vegan lifestyle, vegan pregnancy, vegan children, everything. And so with that being said, I had never planned on anything different, and now I'm here to tell you that we are no longer vegan. So yes, that may come as a shock to a lot of you, maybe it won't be, but I know for me it was a big shock, and it was a really hard thing for me to accept and a really hard thing for me to change as well. So with that being said, I'm just gonna go back to September 15th and kind of explain to you what has changed since then. Starting around that September 15th time, I began to have some episodes, is what I would say, where I was not feeling good or like myself. I was having moments where at first I thought it was just maybe anxiety based, but then the symptoms progressed to be so much to where I realized this wasn't just anxiety, and I realized this was something going on with my body and my health. A lot of my symptoms were really scary. I had heart racing, lightheadedness, dizziness. I felt nauseous. I had loss of appetite. I felt off balance. My body just didn't feel like normal. That's one thing I didn't know how to explain a lot of how I felt, but I just knew that I didn't feel like me and I didn't feel normal. I started having episodes where, my heart would race, and then, all those things would happen to me, and then it would be done. And then it started happening daily, and it would affect my whole entire day to where I could not function. I was literally either laying in the bed or I was laying on the couch. I couldn't get up. I couldn't go for a walk. I was very upset and very emotional. I didn't feel happy. I had moments where I felt like I was going to pass out, faint, but I never would. And a lot of these symptoms were happening all at the same time. It's not like, oh, I just felt dizzy and then maybe an hour later I felt nauseous. No, it was all of these symptoms were happening at the exact same time. I was also having trouble falling asleep. So at night when I would go to sleep, I would already feel nervous and anxious because I wasn't feeling good and normal, but then I'd try to lay down and go to sleep, and then it would seem like as soon as I'd fall asleep, my body would alert me awake, and I'd jump up and my heart would be racing, and so a lot of really scary symptoms. Eventually, after a week, or maybe, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 days, close to a week of experiencing those symptoms, I decided I needed to go to the ER because, I was really concerned. I wasn't feeling any better, and it had just kept going. So September 22nd, I went to the ER, and I got checked in. Thankfully, I didn't have too long of a wait. So they took me in, they took a chest x-ray, they took an EKG, they did my basic metabolic blood draw panel, and they had told me everything looked good and that, they didn't see anything worrisome, and they said it was probably stress anxiety related. So it was kind of reassuring in the sense that, I wasn't dying, or at least not at that moment. It's they basically were you're not dying, so you can go home. So part of me felt a little happy to have some kind of answer, even though, again, I really didn't have any answers. And I knew it was a possibility that they weren't going to be able to tell me what was going on, but I was so scared, and I just felt it's not like I felt sick, because I don't want to say I felt sick, but I just knew my body was not in a good place. And so even though it didn't give me a lot of answers, it gave me enough to where I was like, okay, I'm not dying, but I know I'm not feeling good and I'm not feeling normal. And so from there, I knew I needed to reach out, and I found a naturopath to start working with. I also started seeing a 𝐷𝐈 chiropractor. So again, if you've followed me, you know I'm really into natural remedies, natural healing, holistic health, finding the root cause, and I didn't know exactly what was going on with me. You know, if you Google your symptoms, you can find so many different things, and a lot of times it just made me more scared and more worried, so I knew it wasn't helping me, and so that's why I reached out to find a naturopath. So once I started working with my naturopath and I had a few appointments with her and really explained to her what was going on, we decided to do some different lab work that would, you know, give us a good picture of what was happening inside of my body. And so I did an organic acids test, and unfortunately it took 2 weeks to get those results back, you know, because a lot of lab things, you're not going to get the, you know, answers right away. And that's also part of the reason they only do basic things in the ER. They're only doing things that they can get back right away. And so with the oat test, it took 2 weeks for me to even get those results back, which felt like forever. This whole time it feels like forever. You know, I've never had anything crazy happen to me in my life and going on with my health and my body. So this whole time, I would say I was very upset and pretty depressed, pretty anxious, of course, with everything going on, and it just felt like time was dragging on. I felt upset a lot, and every day I just wanted to feel better. And so I was patiently waiting for my results to have, you know, a better idea of what was going on with me, and, you know, messaging my naturopath constantly, like, are my results in yet, you know? And so finally when they came in, she called me and let me know, even before she really had a lot of time to look over it and examine it and do everything she needed to do. She called me to let me know that a lot of things were really low. And I guess I wasn't shocked anymore at that point, because I knew there was something going on in my body, but I did feel shocked in the sense that if I was eating in a way and living in a way that was supposedly really good and something you can do long term, and even taking supplements and feeling like I was doing all the right things, it was shocking in that sense to think that my body was so depleted. So as you can imagine, doing everything that you thought was right and living a lifestyle, eating a certain way, being very health conscious, and having something wrong with you, it just does not feel good. And so on my organic acids test, it showed that my B12 actually looked okay, which, you know, I was nervous about, but she said it looked okay. It didn't look great. It wasn't, you know, optimal, but it did look okay. My vitamin C was really low. B3, B5, B6, those B vitamins were really low. All of my neurotransmitters were low. So serotonin, epinephrine, norepinephrine, you know, those different neurotransmitters that regulate, you know, all these different functions in your body, all super low. It showed that my dopamine levels were low because my body burns through it fast, and all of my amino acid levels were very low. And you know, your amino acids are your building blocks for your protein. So even though I was eating a lot of beans, rice, potatoes, tofu, plant-based meat alternatives that, you know, say you're getting this much protein, la da 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 da, those were all really low. But overall, it did show that I did not have any gut issues. So I know a lot of people switching diets will see that they have candida or yeast overgrowth or bacteria in their gut, and I didn't have any of that, which I didn't think I did because I've never really had any issues digesting food. But you know, it was a very good thing to know. So it was one less thing that I was going to have to fix and heal in this journey I'm in. There were a few things that were elevated. My fatty acids levels were elevated, and that could be from a couple different reasons. So my body, since my appetite was down and I wasn't eating as much, my body was burning through those stores, and that can be like that fasting response. But also, prior to knowing what I know now, I never omitted or tried to avoid polyunsaturated fatty acids. And learning what I've learned, I now know that consuming PUFAs, for short for polyunsaturated fatty acids, can affect a lot of different things going on in your stomach as well when it comes to being able to get all the nutrients you need. With that being said, over the last year, I had started learning some information here and there that started to make me question if continuing my lifestyle, the way I was eating and doing things, was right for me and my family. But because I felt so passionate about the way we are living and what we are doing, I would ignore that. I'd kind of be like, oh, well, that doesn't apply to me. I don't need that information. It doesn't interest me, none of that. So I would kind of see things here and there that would make me go and question, but then I would just ignore it because, of course, it didn't align with my beliefs and my morals and what I was so passionate about. And so once this started all going on in my body and I realized that my body was very depleted, those kind of things popped back up into my head, and my intuition was telling me that I needed to make a change. And it was not an easy change by any means. I felt very lost, alone, confused. When I was trying to figure out what my next step was and what I was supposed to do to shift, I wrote down on 2 pieces of paper. On one I wrote yes, and on the other one I wrote no. I also prayed for confirmation on what I was supposed to do. And I literally just said, am I still supposed to be vegan? And so I folded both of those papers up the same size, shook them up in my hands, put one in each hand, and I just felt like this. I used my intuition and my energy, and I felt which one felt right. And then also, once I had decided, I sat them down and then I still muscle checked, and it was the same one. And I fully remember sitting there being like, okay, it's the same one, that's good. That means that whatever this answer is, it's right and it's the truth. But I was fully expecting it to say, yes, you're still supposed to be. And so when I opened it up, I was very shocked that it said no, meaning no, I'm no longer supposed to be. In that moment, even though it felt so right and I knew it was true, it was a very hard thing for me to accept. I was just alone here in my room. I cried, even though I knew it was right. And I didn't tell anyone right away. I told my husband the same day, but I couldn't, be like, oh my God, this is what just happened and this is what I'm supposed to do. This is the confirmation. I couldn't talk about it in that moment because I was just so emotional with everything that was going on. So that night, finally, I worked up the courage to tell my husband what confirmation I got, and I could barely discuss it. It took me a full 3 days to even be able to say it out loud fully and explain what it meant and what I thought about it. Me and my husband started talking more about what it was and what it meant and what we would be doing, what we would be changing. Even then, it still took me another 3 days before I could even put something else in my body besides plant foods, because the thought of doing something that you haven't done for 8 years and something that you have told yourself isn't right, isn't good for you, is unhealthy, all these things that I told myself for almost 8 years, I was reversing. I was going into a different direction completely than where I was presently. And so it was really hard on me. Again, we decided to do this as a family because the more I was learning about health and nutrition, I realized that my body was depleted. A big part of it, I do believe, is the fact that I, did that while I was pregnant and I breastfed, all while eating and living my life that way. And pregnancy and breastfeeding can just deplete your body naturally no matter what diet you follow. So the fact that I was doing that and it wasn't working for me, it made me wonder again, is this something that I would continue to do, or should my children continue to do this? And so we made the decision together that we are going to do this as a family. Alright, so since this video is already so long, I knew I wanted to do this in two parts. So this is the first part, this is the first video, and then the second one I'm actually going to be talking with my husband and going into more detail about things. But I just wanted to get on here, and my channel Raw Real Love is just sharing my raw real truth and just doing it with love and just being open and authentic and transparent and sharing my life and my journey. I'm not by any means telling anyone else what to do. I'm just sharing my truth and my experiences. And so thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'm going to be putting that second part up very soon, so look out for that. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment down below, because I'm very open to discussing this. I know it's a huge change, and I know people feel all different ways about this topic, but it's something that I knew that now that I am feeling better, I needed to open up and express and get this out there. I didn't want to keep it from anyone. I'm not trying to hide it. I truly believe that God and universe give you all these experiences for a reason, and I'll be talking a little bit more about that in the next video as well. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. I have changed, just like you.